Well, welcome back, everyone. Again, Dr. James Broomall, joined by Stephen Bockmiller. And we have an incredible opportunity. We're in the heart of the Washington County Historical Society, which, while currently closed, will be opening soon. And it's a space that I'd encourage all of you to visit. And Stephen has been kind enough to bring down some artifacts from the collection, one of which is a facsimile and one of which is an original. So to give our viewers, I guess, some context about the ransom and how things sort of unfolded from there, what exactly were the Confederates asking for, and what was the town able to deliver?
Okay. Well, the Confederates were asking for two things: $20,000 in gold or government money, and 1,500 complete sets of men's clothing from the inside out. Okay. And I think that 1,500 was more of just a way of making things hard for the community rather than just finding the money. So that is basically what the demands were, and they were provided 3 hours in order to come up with it.
Not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time.
And the facsimile that you have, I guess, delineates what the town was able to?
Yes. There were actually two ransom notes that were provided to the town. One is in the collection of the Library of Congress in the Jubal Early papers. And then another one does no longer exist. However, there was a photograph taken of it in 1869, but the original is lost to history. The photograph does exist, and this is a facsimile of it. And it has the order and what was required: $20,000, 1,500 complete sets of men's clothing, 3 hours. And then down at the bottom of it is a capture of all of the materials that were collected by the citizens of the town in that amount of time. They did not meet the entire demand, or he actually didn't even come close to it, but the government and the military being what it is, they provided the town an actual receipt for everything that was collected, and they collected 243 coats, 203 pants, 132 drawers, 437 hose, I guess that's pairs of hose, boots 97, shoes 123, 830 hats. There were a couple of hat stores here in town that the owners did not have the foresight to pack up and skedaddle. Right. They lost their entire inventories. Shirts 225, yard goods 1,370 and 1/2 yards, and other clothing assorted. There were reports that citizens were coming out with even children's shoes, things like that, anything to help meet the demand. And a lot of the citizens didn't realize that there was actually a back agreement between the town leaders and the Confederates as far as meeting the requirements. Okay. And we'll talk about that at other stops in the program here. Okay.
And being diligent government officials, it seems as though there was a careful tally as to what was collected, and ultimately we have an actual artifact, a primary source from the period, that's going to reveal to us the result of this ransom and the repayment of citizens. Is that correct?
Yes. What happened was two things occurred as far as government doing its job. Okay. One of which was they went around getting pledges from prominent citizens for money to back the money, the $20,000 demand. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in another segment, or have talked about it, depending on where this is all edited together. But after it was all over, the town arranged with the state legislature to get permission to issue bonds that they would repay over a number of years, to turn around and repay the banks and everybody who was out as a result of the Confederates coming through in July of 1864. So in early 1865, the state legislature passed a law allowing Hagerstown to issue bonds. Hagerstown issued the bonds, had the money, and what this was is the town treasurer, his name was Matthew Barber, the town treasurer's log on how much he was paying everybody back out of the bond proceeds. So, for example, there's entries in here for the money being paid back to the 3 banks that provided the cash, but also various people who lost property to the Confederates when they were in town, such as the hat store owners, things like that. They were actually compensated for their losses as well. And the amount of money that they were all provided is all accounted for down to the dollar right here in this ledger.
In terms of time frame, how quickly were the various citizens as well as shop owners compensated?
early 1865, so within about 6 to 8 months.
Okay, which is remarkable because, you know, for the American Civil War itself, most of the big claims commissions come out in the 1870s,
Yes.
and many of those are never fulfilled in their entirety, but it seems like in this local context, everything went off as it should have.
The problem is that in order to keep the town from being burned down, everything that the town agreed to do was completely illegal at the time.
Okay.
So they had to go to the state legislature to basically get retroactive clearance to basically clear out the problem. They saved their town by breaking all sorts of laws, because obviously giving money to the Confederates is not something that
Right.
state law would have really approved of
Sure,
at the
sure,
time.
sure.
So.
Well, wonderful. We like these opportunities to get a glimpse of some of the primary source materials. And again, of course, we're going to and we have been at a number of locations within the town of Hagerstown. But for those of you who haven't visited Washington County Historical Society, once they do reopen to the public, we'd strongly encourage you to do so. And we're extremely gratified that they were willing to release elements of the collection for us here today.
And we do have a very extensive Civil War collection here, by the way, on display.
Absolutely, we saw an element of it earlier. And so with that, we'll go ahead and conclude this segment, and we'll look forward to some more viewership soon. Thank you.